This is Robert Harper with Virginia Farm Bureau's Grain Division. Glad to bring you the Merchandiser Minute today for Friday, February the 5th, 2021. Let's take a look at how the futures closed out in Chicago. March corn up 1 cent for the week, $5.48. March soybeans down 4 cents for the week, $13.66 a bushel. And your old crop wheat contract, March wheat, closed out at $6.41, down 22 cents for the week. Again, that's March corn, $5.48, March beans, $13.66, and your March wheat futures contract, $6.41 for the week. We had a lot less volatility this week across these three contracts, these three commodities on the board, and it was in some ways welcomed after many weeks of both the commercials and the farmer trying to figure out the market. Still, the market had a lot of activity, a lot of influences working on it this week, and I'm only going to mention a few of them here, and in addition to what you picked up this week from watching the trade. We did see an amazing amount of volume this week in the options markets, and not only in Chicago, but even here at the grain desk, at my desk and at Josie's desk. A lot of you this week, more than normal, have had questions about purchasing call options to give you upside potential on bushels, and purchasing put options to give you downside protection. Those are some good conversations. There is opportunity there for you, and let us know. Call us and we can discuss those and talk about tailoring a certain strategy for you. So that was interesting this week as well. We came into the week and we're looking for this afternoon's Commitment of Traders report to again show just big positions, big long positions for the managed money speculator with corn contracts and with soybean contracts. We'll see that this afternoon as effective of this Tuesday. That's the Commitment of Traders report. And again, if you'd like to ever see a copy of that, call me and I can make sure, or call Josie and make sure that you get one, and we can talk about it and why that's so important to know where those managed money speculators are and how you're referencing your own sales decisions. Rumors this week, it was really more of a discussion about how many beans the United States will be importing this summer. And another rumor this week, and a lot of talk, is some African swine fever showing up again in China. Keep your eye on both of those stories going forward. We did see Green Plains Renewable Energy, the company that as y'all know, that last ran the ethanol plant in Hopewell. They announced the sale of another one of their ethanol plants out in Nebraska, and it just shows a continued emphasis, maybe the right word is, of that company putting on making some high protein feeds and shifting a bit in how they're making ethanol and how much ethanol they're making. We saw crude oil hit a 12-month high this year on the futures at $56 a barrel. Egypt bought a lot of wheat this week, not from the United States, but from Russia, France, and Romania. And remember, it is official that Russia will put an increase on their own sales, their own wheat, and export tax, and that increase will begin in March. It's supposed to run through the end of June. And maybe we know Egypt is a very large wheat importer, and they're just trying to get some business done before those tariffs go into place. We also saw this week China purchasing a fair amount of barley from Canada as well as France. And normally I'm told, I don't follow this as close as I could, but normally I'm told they buy a lot of barley from Australia. And this story about China buying Canadian and French barley kind of brought to light again that there are diplomatic tensions between China and Australia. Might be a story you want to follow and dig into a little bit. When we think about coming up next week everything is going to be about harvest in Brazil. We know they're getting a lot of rain down there right now, and it's a little bit ironic that Brazilian first crop of beans was about 30 days late being planted because of dry conditions, and now they're struggling across Mato Grosso, the state that's farthest to the north. They're struggling in many areas within that state on having harvest to be continuous and smooth and steady because of big rains. But the trade, everybody's watching those combines as they get going down there and looking for yield information. We did see some shifts this week in Argentina and their weather forecast. We know with the La Nina weather event, they have been a whole lot drier than Brazil. So keep your eye on that Argentina's weather story next week. That'll be in the news as well. And another thing this week that was important that I don't want to not mention, in our weekly export sales report, we know that last week we had all those daily flash sales announcements from China buying U.S. corn. We got to see all those numbers added up this week in Thursday's export sales report, and phenomenal. I'm told that it was the largest weekly export sales report for corn in history. If I added up the bushels right, it would total 293 million bushels from last week. We saw that report come out yesterday, and we saw the corn futures board, the nearby contracts, make highs for the move. And that really sets the stage next week, February 9th, Tuesday, the February crop production report from National Ag Statistics and USDA. We're going to be looking for that report at noon Eastern on Tuesday. And really, we've got a lot of analysts' estimates of what we're going to see for ending stocks. And I'm going to read off the average of those analyst estimates. What's going to be left over in the bin for corn and soybeans on August 31st? We've got 1.3 billion bushels of leftovers or carryout for corn, and 120 million bushels of beans as leftovers. Now we know those are really tight numbers. Those numbers support these high prices that we have on the futures board right now. And think about that. If you're wanting to make some sales decisions next week, call in Monday. We can talk about the Tuesday report and how the traders might trade that report. So give us a call if we can help you. This is Robert at Virginia Farm Bureau's Grain Division.